Ladies, if he proposes with this, say no. She captioned my proposal rejection before posting it online. I took the ring back and walked away. A month later, she was begging me to open the door because the man she left me for had already dumped her. Hey viewers, I'll be honest, this channel is demonetized. My ability to keep creating these stories is officially in your hands. I want to keep producing, but I need your direct support to stay in business. If you want these videos to stay on your feed, join the Patreon below. You're the only reason I can keep doing this. I'm not sure why I'm writing this. Maybe because it's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep. Maybe because I need strangers on the internet to tell me I'm not crazy. 3 years. We were together for 3 years, lived together for 1. Her name is Jenna. I thought I was going to marry her. She was the center of my life. When she laughed, it filled a room. When she was sad, I dropped everything. That's just who I was with her, steady, present, reliable. For a long time, that felt like enough. Looking back, the cracks started small. She'd stay late at work, texting a friend named Derek. When I asked about him, she'd roll her eyes and tell me I was being insecure. He's just a friend, Alex. Not everything is a threat. So I stopped asking. I didn't want to be the jealous boyfriend. 18 months ago, I was offered a promotion. A real one. More money, more responsibility, but it meant relocating for 6 months. I came home excited. Jenna cried. She said she couldn't handle long distance, that her family needed her here, that if I loved her I wouldn't leave. So I turned it down. Never mentioned it again. She never did either. I told myself it was worth it, that we were building something permanent. I spent 10 months saving for the ring. I didn't just walk into a chain store. I remembered her talking about her grandmother's ring, a vintage sapphire with tiny diamonds on the band. The only beautiful thing Nana ever owned, she'd said once, her voice soft. I found one almost identical at an estate jeweler. Had it resized and polished. It cost me $3,200, every spare dollar I had. I was so proud of that ring. The plan was simple. The restaurant where we had our first date. A Tuesday evening, quiet, candlelight. I was nervous, hopeful, and absolutely certain I was doing the right thing. I had no idea she was about to make me a punchline. I arrived at the restaurant first. Corner table, half lit by a candle swimming in a glass bowl. Same place we'd come on our first date 3 years ago. I'd worn a tie that night too. Jenna had laughed at how nervous I was, said it was cute. I wanted to bring that back. The softness, the beginning. She walked in 15 minutes late, phone in hand, thumb scrolling. I stood to kiss her cheek. She tilted her head just enough that my lips grazed air. Hey, sorry, work thing, she said, sliding into her seat without meeting my eyes. She was already texting someone. Everything okay? Yeah, just Derek being dramatic about a deadline. She flipped her phone face down and smiled. The smile didn't reach her eyes. We ordered. I barely tasted my food. The ring box sat in my jacket pocket like a heartbeat. I kept touching it under the table, checking it was still there, still closed, still real. When the plates were cleared, I waited for a quiet moment and slid off my chair. She looked up from her phone. Finally, I knelt. Jenna, I said, voice steadier than I expected. I've loved you for 3 years. I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me? I opened the box. The sapphire caught the candlelight and threw blue sparks across the white tablecloth. For 1 second, I saw her grandmother's hands. I saw everything I tried to build. Her face shifted. Not shock. Amusement, curdling slowly into something harder. Oh, Alex, she sighed. Oh no, you didn't really think. She tilted her head and looked at the ring like it was a typo in a menu. Is that supposed to be like my grandmother's ring? A laugh, not warm. That's almost sweet. In a desperate kind of way. I stayed on one knee. My brain hadn't caught up to my body yet. Jenna, what are you? Don't move, she said, pulling out her phone. This is going to help a lot of women. She took a photo of me on my knee, then a close-up of the ring box. Her thumbs moved fast across the screen. I've been thinking about this for a while, she said, still typing. Us, I mean. And I've outgrown this. She gestured vaguely at me, at the table, at the ring. You're sweet. You're stable. You're like a comfortable old couch. But I'm not a couch, Alex. I deserve a penthouse. The word landed like a slap. A penthouse, I repeated. It was all I could manage. Derek gets me on a level you don't. He's exciting. He makes me feel seen. You make me feel like a checklist. Job, house, ring, wife. It's boring. I'm 27. I'm not dead. She turned her phone around. The post was live. The caption read, "Ladies, if he proposes with this, say no. Trust me. Nail polish hashtag know your worth hashtag upgrade your life." Beneath it, a handful of likes were already ticking upward. "You posted it," I said. "Already has 12 likes." She smirked, slipping the phone into her purse. "Don't be bitter, Alex. One day you'll thank me. I just saved us both from a mediocre marriage." She stood up. I was still on one knee. "Take the ring back. I'm sure you can get store credit or something." She leaned down, patted my shoulder like I was a child who'd failed a test she'd already warned me about. "Don't call me. I'll send someone for my things." She walked out. A few diners stared. Someone whispered. The candle flickered. I stayed there for a long moment, not moving, not breathing. Then I closed the box, very slowly, and stood. My hands were steady. My chest was a collapsed building. I signaled for the check. I paid without a word. I tipped 25% out of muscle memory. On the walk to the car, I didn't cry. I didn't call anyone. I just drove home with the ring box on the passenger seat, still open, still catching streetlights. The apartment was full of her. Her shoes kicked off by the door. Her half-empty mug on the coffee table, lipstick still on the rim. Her scent in the air, something floral and sharp. I sat on the couch for an hour. Then I checked my phone. The post had 200 likes. Laughing emojis from 2 mutual friends. A comment from someone named Derek_actual that just said king. I put the phone down. I didn't throw it. I didn't punch the wall. I just sat there with the weight of 3 years settling into my bones. 18 months ago, I'd come home with news of the promotion. I'd been buzzing. More money, more responsibility, a real step forward. Jenna had listened. Then her face had crumpled. "You're leaving me," she'd said. 6 months? You're choosing a job over us." I tried to explain it wasn't like that. We could visit, call every night. She'd sobbed. She'd said she couldn't do long distance, that her family needed her here, that if I really loved her I'd stay. I held her. I told her she was more important. I called my boss the next morning and declined. That promotion went to a colleague who was now 2 levels above where I would have been. I never resented Jenna for it. Until tonight. I looked at the ring box on the coffee table. The sapphire glinted like it was mocking me. At 2 in the morning, I stood up and found the storage closet. I pulled out every empty box we had. Methodically, piece by piece, I packed her entire life. Clothes from the closet, folded with a care she didn't deserve. Toiletries from the bathroom. The framed photo of her and Derek at a work event. The one she told me was just friends. I placed it on top of a box of shoes, face up. I didn't break a single thing. I didn't write a single angry note. I just packed, hour after hour, until the sun came up and the living room was a fortress of cardboard. At 6, I stacked the last box by the front door. I placed her apartment key on top of it. Beneath the key, a single yellow post-it. "Lease renewal is canceled. You have until the 30th to arrange pickup. I won't be here." I called the landlord at 8. I called the jeweler at 9. The refund cleared by noon. By the end of the day, I'd secured a small studio across town. 1 room, bare walls, a window that faced a brick wall. It was perfect. I used the ring money to clear my last credit card. I packed a single suitcase for myself. Clothes, laptop, the book I'd been meaning to read for a year. I blocked Jenna on everything. Phone number, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, even Venmo. I didn't announce it. I didn't post a rebuttal. I didn't tell my side to anyone who hadn't asked. The silence was the first thing I'd done for myself in 3 years that wasn't a compromise. I walked out of that apartment at dusk. The boxes stood like a monument to someone I used to know. I closed the door gently. The lock clicked. I didn't look back. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I just vanished. The first week in the new studio, I slept on an air mattress that deflated a little more each night. By morning I'd be on the floor, back aching, staring at a ceiling I didn't recognize. The walls were bare. The window faced a brick wall. It was the most honest room I'd lived in for 3 years. I didn't post anything online. No rebuttal, no sad quote, no cryptic song lyrics. I just let the silence sit. A few mutual friends texted, probing. One said, "Jenna's telling people you overreacted and emotionally abandoned her." I typed, "Okay," and deleted the thread. I started running in the mornings. Not to get fit. I still ate like a man who didn't care, but because exhaustion quieted the mind. For miles, 5 miles, 6. My legs burned, my lungs ached, and for 45 minutes I wasn't the guy who got rejected on camera. I was just a body moving forward. At night, I read. I avoided alcohol entirely. I knew if I drank, I'd drunk call her. I'd become the pathetic ex blowing up her phone, proving every cruel thing she'd said about me. So I stayed stone cold sober and let the hours pass in fiction. The post was still circulating. A friend of a friend sent me a screenshot of a comment Jenna had left under it. He's a nice guy, just not my guy. Women shouldn't settle. The casualness of it, the way she'd flattened 3 years into a cautionary meme, sat in my chest like a stone. But I didn't crack. I just turned off my phone and went to bed. Somewhere in the second week, I started unpacking something larger than boxes. I sat on my one chair and let myself remember things I'd excused at the time. The way she'd belittle my hobbies. Model trains? Are you 70? She'd say it with a smile, so it was supposed to be funny. It wasn't. The way she'd compare me to men in shows. Why can't you be more like him? He actually plans dates. I had planned dates. She'd been late to half of them. The way she'd say, "I'm just joking," after comments that left marks. The way I'd learned to laugh along. I'd spent 3 years shrinking so she could feel taller. I'd handed her my self-respect in small, daily installments and told myself it was love. One evening, I sat on the fire escape and watched the city hum. The air was cool. The noise was distant. And a thought surfaced, fully formed, like it had been waiting for the silence to speak. I hadn't lost a fiancé. I'd been freed from a performance I didn't know I was giving. By the end of the month, the air mattress was gone. I bought a Real bed, secondhand, solid wood. I bought a plant. A small one, a peace lily. I didn't know if I could keep it alive, but I wanted to try. I started saying yes to work projects I'd previously declined. The ones that ran late. The ones that required focus Jenna had always resented. I wasn't chasing a promotion anymore. I was just building something that belonged to me. The viral post was still out there, still racking up likes. But I'd stopped checking. The ring was gone. The apartment was gone. The version of me who'd knelt on that restaurant floor was gone too. I didn't hate Jenna. I didn't miss her. I was just learning to recognize myself again. It took about a month. I heard the first details from a mutual acquaintance named Sarah, one of the few who'd reached out with an actual apology. She'd liked Jenna's post without thinking, she said. She'd assumed it was some random guy, not me. When she found out the context, she felt sick. Over coffee I didn't really want, Sarah filled in the gaps. Derek had love-bombed Jenna for exactly 2 weeks after she moved into his apartment. Nice dinners, compliments, Instagram stories with champagne. She'd posted constantly, a highlight reel of her upgrade. Then the posts slowed. Then they stopped. Derek started getting busy. He'd come home late, then not at all. He'd leave her on read for hours. When she asked questions, he'd call her clingy. When she cried, he'd call her manipulative. She found out he was texting another woman, a yoga instructor with a public profile and a boyfriend who traveled for work. When Jenna confronted him, he didn't apologize. He didn't even look up from his phone. According to Sarah, who'd heard it from Jenna directly, Derek's exact words were, "Jenna, you left a guy who was going to marry you for a few compliments and a vodka soda." What does that say about you? I don't build on cracked foundations. This was fun, but it's not permanent. You should find somewhere else to stay. He dumped her by text the next day. One sentence. Not working. Take care. By the weekend, she was out of his apartment. She couch surfed for a week, burning through the goodwill of friends who were starting to see the full picture. Then she landed in her sister Claire's spare room, surrounded by the boxes I'd packed. Her social media went dark after someone commented "Know your worth" on a sad quote she'd posted. A blurry photo of a sunset with the caption, "Sometimes you have to break to rebuild." The irony was so sharp it almost felt scripted. Mutual friends who'd laughed at her post started distancing themselves. A few reached out to me, offering tentative apologies. I accepted them without fanfare. No lectures. No, I told you so. I just said thanks and moved on. Sarah told me Jenna had started asking about me, where I was living, whether I was seeing anyone. She'd apparently said, "I just need to talk to him. I need to explain." I didn't react. I paid for the coffee, walked Sarah to her car, and went home to water my peace lily. The karma wasn't satisfying in the way I'd imagined. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like watching a storm hit a house you used to live in. Distant, muted, no longer your concern. Derek had discarded her the way she'd discarded me. The symmetry was almost mathematical. But I didn't celebrate it. I just noted it, filed it away, and kept building my quiet life in a studio she didn't have the address for. She'd wanted a penthouse. She'd ended up in a spare room. And I, the comfortable old couch, was learning to sit with myself in peace. 3 weeks after the proposal, my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. I was eating a bowl of cereal at the counter of my studio, still in running clothes. I answered out of habit. "Alex, it's Claire. Don't hang up." Jenna's older sister. I'd met her a dozen times, holiday dinners, a weekend at their parents' lake house. She'd always been polite to my face, but sharp behind the eyes. The kind of person who uses honesty as a license to cut. "Claire," I said. Neutral. "I need you to explain to me why my sister is a wreck, and you've been ignoring her for 3 weeks. Her voice was already at a simmer. "She's been crying every night. She can't eat. She's living in my guest room, Alex." My guest room. I wasn't aware that was my responsibility. "Oh, don't do that. Don't do the cold thing." She made one stupid post. One. She was confused. That snake Derek got in her head. He was feeding her lines, making her feel like she was missing out on some glamorous life. She's human. Humans make mistakes. I set my spoon down. She didn't make a mistake, Claire. She made a performance. She took a photo of me on one knee, posted it to the internet with a caption mocking the ring I spent months saving for, and walked out laughing. That's not a mistake. That's a statement. Claire's voice tightened. "And now you're punishing her. This silent treatment, ghosting someone after 3 years, that's not maturity. That's cruelty. Real men forgive. Real men fight for the people they love." I had heard that line before. I'd probably used it on myself 100 times in the first week. It sounded different coming from someone else's mouth. Hollow, transactional. "I did fight," I said. "For 3 years. I turned down a promotion for her. I saved for a ring that matched her grandmother's because I remembered a story she told me once, years ago, about the only beautiful thing her Nana ever owned. I remembered that. And she turned it into a punchline. Silence on her end. Then, "So you're just going to throw it all away because your ego got bruised?" My ego isn't the issue here. My self-respect is. That's a convenient way to frame abandonment. You're not the victim, Alex. You're just bitter. She's reaching out, and you're slamming the door. She's family. She was my family too. My voice was still calm, but something in my chest was heating up. I let it pass. She stood up, posed, and posted. She told the world I wasn't enough. I accepted her decision. I moved on. That's not cruelty. That's the consequence of her choices. Claire snorted. "You're so righteous. You think you're above her now? You're just scared. Scared to feel anything." She said you were cold. Maybe she was right. The old Alex would have defended himself. Explained. Apologized for something he didn't do wrong. "Claire," I said, "I'm not her punching bag anymore, and I'm not your project. Don't call me again." I hung up before she could fire back. My hand trembled for maybe 30 seconds. Then it stilled. I looked at my phone, blocked the number, and finished my cereal. It was soggy. I ate it anyway. That was the first time I realized I hadn't yelled. I hadn't defended my character. I'd just stated what happened and closed the door. It felt like a small, clean victory. A few days later, another unknown number lit up my screen. I almost let it ring out. But something in me, not hope, not curiosity, maybe just a need to finish things cleanly, made me answer. "Alex, please don't hang up. Please." "It's me." Jenna's voice. Softer than I remembered. Thinner. She was already crying, or close to it, the words catching on something in her throat. I didn't hang up. I leaned against the kitchen counter and said, "I'm listening. I've been going insane." A shaky exhale. "I know I messed up. I know. He was a complete lie. Everything he said, everything I thought I felt, it was all fake. I see that now. I see you now." I didn't respond. The silence stretched. "He love-bombed me, Alex. He made me feel like I was this queen, like I'd been settling my whole life. And I bought it. I was stupid and shallow, and I bought every word. But the whole time, something felt wrong. I missed you every single day. I missed how safe you made me feel. How real it was. She was warming into the words now, finding a rhythm. I'd heard this rhythm before when she wanted something. A late-night apology after a fight, all soft and urgent, designed to bypass logic and land straight on guilt. I posted that stupid thing because I was trying to convince myself I'd made the right choice, she continued. But I knew I hadn't. I knew it the second I walked out of that restaurant. I wanted to come back that same night, but I was too proud. I was brainwashed. You didn't walk out, I said. You posted, and then you walked out. There's a difference. She paused. I heard her swallow. I know. I'm so sorry. I'll delete everything. I'll post a retraction. I'll tell everyone I was an idiot. Just can we talk? In person? I need to see you. I need to make this right. I love you, Alex. I never stopped. 3 years. For 3 years I'd wanted to hear her say those words with this much weight. Now they landed like junk mail. Jenna, I said, I'm not angry at you. I want you to understand that. I'm not punishing you. I'm just not in the place you're looking for anymore. You're asking for a door that's not there. What does that even mean? Her voice sharpened, confusion bleeding into edge. You're not angry, but you won't see me? You won't even try? I made one mistake. People work through worse. You're supposed to love me. I did love you. I loved you enough to turn down a career move. I loved you enough to hunt down your grandmother's ring. And you turned that love into a punchline for strangers. That wasn't a mistake. That was a choice. I've accepted it. You need to as well. So that's it. The tears were still there, but something harder was pushing through. 3 years, and you can just switch it off? You're acting like you're above me, but you're not. You're just bitter and scared. You're hiding in that apartment because you can't handle real emotion. There she was, the woman who'd posted that video. The one who'd called me a comfortable old couch and meant it. Maybe, I said, but I'm not the one calling from a blocked number. I hung up, turned off the phone, pulled on my running shoes, and stepped out into the evening air. The streets were damp from an earlier rain. I ran my usual route, 5 miles, steady pace. My lungs burned. My mind cleared. By the time I got home, the silence of my studio felt like a gift I'd given myself. I showered. I made tea. I watered the peace lily, which was still alive, still green, still reaching toward the brick wall window. I didn't think about Jenna's voice. I didn't replay her words. I just went to bed, and for the first time in a month, I didn't dream at all. It was a Sunday evening. I had a pot of water coming to a boil, pasta measured out, music playing low from a speaker on the counter. Nothing dramatic. Just a man cooking dinner in a quiet apartment. The knock came at the door, not the buzzer from the building entrance, but a knock directly on my unit. Someone had either followed a resident in or sweet-talked their way through the intercom. I turned down the stove and opened the door. Jenna stood in the hallway. I barely recognized her. Her hair was flat, unwashed, pulled into a lopsided ponytail. No makeup. Her eyes were red-rimmed and swollen, mascara smudged from crying or rain or both. She was holding her phone with both hands, like a shield or an offering. Alex, she breathed. God, you look so good. I leaned against the doorframe, arms relaxed. I didn't step aside. Can I come in? Please? Just 5 minutes. I've been trying to find you for weeks. I had to ask 4 people for this address. Please don't shut the door. I looked at her. No anger. No excitement. Just a flat, clean recognition. You found me, I said. 5 minutes starts now. She rushed forward, stopping just short of the threshold when I didn't move. I've ruined everything. Derek was a monster. He used me. He threw me out like I was nothing. And the whole time, I kept thinking, this is what I did to you. This is exactly what I did. I became the villain of my own story. Tears spilled over. Her voice cracked. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I deleted all my social media. I just want to come home. I want to come back to us. I'll do anything. She reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't turn my palm to meet hers. My hand stayed still, passive. She withdrew, confused. Jenna, I said, what do you think us looks like right now? We start over. Slow. We go to therapy. I'll prove myself to you every day. I'll never take you for granted again. I know I said horrible things, but I was lost. You're my home, Alex. You've always been my home. Her voice was climbing, desperate, searching for a foothold. You said I was a comfortable old couch, I said. You said you deserved a penthouse. She flinched, nodding frantically. I was an idiot. The couch is where you're safe. The penthouse is empty and cold, and I hate it. I want the couch. I want you. I let the words hang in the air between us. The pasta water began to boil behind me, a low rumble. Here's the thing, Jenna. My voice was calm. Not cold, calm. The kind of calm that comes after a storm, when the wind has moved on and the sky is clear. Couches aren't just places you crash when the penthouse kicks you out. They're where people rest, where they're safe. I wanted to be that for you. But you took a picture of me on one knee, turned it into content, and walked out laughing. You didn't just leave me. You humiliated me for an audience. And now that the audience booed, you're knocking on my door asking for the same comfort you mocked. Her tears were flowing freely now, but something behind them was shifting. Her jaw tightened. I know. I've punished myself more than you ever could. What do you want me to say? That I'm a terrible person? Fine, I'm a terrible person. Are you happy now? I didn't flinch. I didn't raise my voice. I'm not trying to punish you. I'm not trying to make you say anything. I'm not even angry. I'm just telling you that this door you're standing at, it's not a revolving door. You don't get to walk out for a penthouse and walk back in when it's condemned. Her face twisted. The tears were still there, but anger was burning through them now, hot and fast. The mask of remorse cracked clean in half. You're so righteous now, aren't you? Mr. Calm. Mr. Silent. You think you're better than me because you can shut off your emotions? You're not healed. You're just dead inside. You were always like this, you know. Cold. Unfeeling. Derek was exciting because he actually had a pulse, unlike you. I smiled. A small, genuine smile. Not smug, not bitter. Just the quiet recognition of something I'd known was coming. There she is, I said. There's the woman who posted that video. I was wondering where she went. Her mouth opened, then closed. I straightened up, one hand on the doorframe. You're right about one thing. I'm not the same man who knelt in that restaurant. I'm someone who knows what he's worth now. And you? You're just someone who realized too late. I stepped back inside, hand on the door. Goodbye, Jenna. Don't come back. Don't call. Don't send your sister. Build your own couch this time. I closed the door. Gently. The latch clicked into place. For a long moment, I heard her breathing on the other side, ragged, uneven. Then footsteps retreated down the hallway. Then nothing. I walked back to the stove. The pasta water was at a rolling boil. I added salt, then the spaghetti. Set the timer. Stirred. I didn't look through the peephole. I didn't press my ear to the door. I didn't replay her words or wonder if I'd been too harsh. The pasta was perfectly al dente. I plated it, added Parmesan, and ate in the quiet of my own home. The peace lily on the windowsill had a new leaf unfurling, bright green and reaching toward the light. 2 months have passed. I still live in the studio. The walls are no longer bare. I hung a few prints, nothing expensive, just things that caught my eye at a street market. The peace lily has doubled in size. I've named it Gloria. I don't know why. I took a new role at work. Not the promotion I lost. That ship sailed, but something lateral with potential. I'm not climbing a ladder these days. I'm just building a life that feels like mine. I'm dating casually. Nothing serious yet. I'm not in a rush. I've learned to enjoy my own company. The quiet of a Sunday morning, a book I chose, a meal I cooked without waiting for someone to show up and criticize it. Mutual friends have stopped mentioning Jenna. The ones who mattered eventually reached out with real apologies. The ones who didn't matter faded away. I heard through a distant acquaintance that she's living with her parents now, working a job she hates. Someone said she's taking a break from dating to heal. Someone else said she's still telling people I abandoned her. I don't care enough to verify either story. A few weeks ago, a friend mentioned she'd started a new social media account, private, anonymous, and posted a long caption about people who walk away without giving closure and emotionally unavailable men who punish instead of forgive. He asked if I wanted to see it. I said no. I meant it. She said I was a comfortable old couch. But couches are where you rest. Where you're safe. Where you build a life. I wanted to be that for her, and she treated it like an insult. Now I'm that couch for myself. And that's enough. She's out there looking for penthouses. I'm just building a home she'll never step foot in again. She's not the villain of my story. She's not even a chapter anymore. She's a footnote I had to read twice before I could finally turn the page. The ring went back to the jeweler. The woman went back to her parents. And I went forward. Finally. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. If you enjoy these stories, and would like to help support the channel, my Patreon is linked in the description. What do you think about this story? Let me know in the comments.